United Nations General Assembly, which is organized annually in Tanzania by the Youth of United Nations Association. The simulation gives young people all over the world an opportunity to meet and discuss the world pressing issues. At the same time, it's coming with solutions from the discussion debates, which are usually governed by United Nations General Assembly rules and procedures.
Tanzanias internationales Museum von den Vereinten Nationen wird letiva diskutiert erstens Paradigma Jüdische Ideologie, Engaposis, zweitens ziviles Engagement für Jugendliche.
مسؤوليات الشباب في تنظيم الأسرة بدون فواحش، معرفة الشباب إلى أهداف العمل مثمر حاصوة. ألي هذه ممتاز؟ هؤلاء إلى أهداف العالمية ثالث خامس ثامن 31 و61.
Jimion ti aimunizai Arusha, fejum darinewa jukshin. Arusha haushen fejum darinewa. Yinoi hendogoji, waiji ayhui zaishi jukshin.
¿Conoces tu papel como joven en la creación del futuro de tus sueños? Bueno, este será el temario de nuestra conferencia este año. Papel juvenil en la creación del futuro que queremos.
C'est une vraiment des bons messages fantastiques. C'est une bien responsabilité. Le bouillet est agréable. Mais c'est à partir aussi.
TI Moon is a great platform for you to meet new people and make new friends.
Obnovitie, zakrovitie, sojupazitie, segodna, teresnash, socialni, media platformy, Instagram, Savaka Tanzania Moon, Twitter, Savaka Moon Tanzania, Uvidi Mseva Arusha, Dobro Fajarabat.
Ninakukaribisha sana kushiriki TI Moon 2020 ili kupata uzoefu wa kimataifa katika masuala mbalimbali kama vile utatuzi wa migogoro, kuwasilisha maslahi ya nchi nyingine na kujifunza fursa mbalimbali. Ni jukwaa la kipekee la kukuza ushirikiano, kupata marafiki wapya na kubwa zaidi kufurahi. Karibu TI Moon 2020.
Assembly, which is organized annually in Tanzania by Youth of United Nations Association. The simulation gives young people all over the world an opportunity to meet and discuss the world pressing issues. At the same time, it's coming with resolutions from the discussion debates, which are usually governed by United Nations General Assembly rules and procedures.
Tanzanias internationales Museum von den Vereinten Nationen wird letiva diskutiert erstens Paradigma Jüdische Ideologie, Engaposis, zweitens ziviles Engagement für Jugendliche.
مسؤوليات الشباب في تنظيم الأسرة بدون فواحش، معرفة الشباب إلى أهداف العمل مثمر حاصوة. ألي هذه ممتاز؟ هؤلاء إلى أهداف العالمية ثالث خامس ثامن 31 و61.
Jimion ti aimunizai Arusha, fejum darinewa jukshin. Arusha haushen fejum darinewa. Yinoi hendogoji, waiji ayhui zaishi jukshin.
¿Conoces tu papel como joven en la creación del futuro de tus sueños? Bueno, este será el tema de nuestra conferencia este año. Papel juvenil en la creación del futuro que queremos.
C'est une vraiment des bons messages fantastiques. C'est une bien responsabilité. Le bouillet est agréable. Mais c'est à partir aussi.
TI Moon is a great platform for you to meet new people and make new friends.
Obnovitie, zakrovitie, sojupazitie, segodna, teresnash, socialni, media platformy, Instagram, Savaka Tanzania Moon, Twitter, Savaka Moon Tanzania, Uvidi Mseva Arusha, Dobro Fajarabat.
Ninakukaribisha sana kushiriki TI Moon 2020 ili kupata uzoefu wa kimataifa katika masuala mbalimbali kama vile utatuzi wa migogoro, kuwasilisha maslahi ya nchi nyingine na kujifunza fursa mbalimbali. Ni jukwaa la kipekee la kukuza ushirikiano, kupata marafiki wapya na kubwa zaidi kufurahi. Karibu TI Moon 2020.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the fourth session of Tanzania International Model United Nations visual session series that we have been convening to make sure that we engage young people around the world, those who have registered to participate for Tanzania International Model United Nations, and other young people who like to get involved and to participate in different matters. I would like to welcome you all to this session. And as I said, this is the fourth session, and we are happy that today we'll be discussing about the impact of COVID-19 in youth engagement in civic participation. I hope you're going to have a very, very good session. My name is Joseph Malekela from Youth of United Nations Association of Tanzania, and I'm one of the members of the organizing committee for this year's Tanzania International Model United Nations. I hope you're going to have a very, very good session, and I would like to see you have a very interactive session. Yes, as part of introduction of how the session will be, we're going to have some representatives from different organizations that we have invited to speak with us about this today's topic, and also we are going to have a contribution from you members. As part of the start, we are going to have the representative from Action Aid Tanzania. I'm glad to see her, Madam Jovina na wenzake. And also we're going to have presentation from Mr. Suleiman Makwita from Tanzania Youth Vision Association. And also we're going to have the presentation from Mr. Hussein Melele, the Executive Director of Molika Tanzania. The format of the discussion will be like this one. We'll be having the opening remark from a person from UNA. We're going to have opening speech from representative of Action Aid, who is our guest today. And we're going to have two presentations consecutively. Then we'll be having a first round of discussion or question and answers, where you participants you're going to have an opportunity to ask questions to presenters, or to ask questions or to contribute on the topic that is presented. After the first round of questions and answers, then we're going to have some reply from the presenters. Then we're going to have the second round of question and answers from you guys, from you participants, and then we're going to have the replies. So it is going to be a very, very interactive session. So I encourage you guys to be very, very active and to participate in this session. As part of start, I'd like to invite the representative from UNA Tanzania. Please welcome, starting with Mr. Coordinator of Tanzania International United Nations of this year 2020, Mr. Philemon Mweleka, who is going to have some words of opening, then we'll continue. Mr. Philemon Mweleka, please have a floor. Philemon, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Hello. I hope can everybody hear me? Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Okay. So my name is Hortensia.
Okay, so I would like to welcome Ms. Hortensia Nuhu, who is the Vice Chairperson of UNA Tanzania, for the opening speech. Then afterward, we're going to have some words from Mr. Coordinator Philemon Mweleka. Madam Hortensia, please welcome. Have a floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hortensia Nuhu, the Chairperson from Youth of United Nations Association of Tanzania, UNA. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone to take your time to participate in the Tanzania International Model UN 2020 on our last virtual session, whereby we are going to discuss our last topic, effects of COVID-19 on the engagement of youth in civic participation. But let me take you through in a quick introduction about UNA. what we do actually, UNA, it brings young people closer to United Nations system in supporting the ideas, principles, and purpose for the United Nations in Tanzania. But also our mission is to carry out capacity buildings, education, advocacy, lobbying, and activities to increase stakeholders' influence and participation in implementing different United Nations agendas in Tanzania. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our guests and speakers for today's session. I would like to welcome Mr. Hussein Malele, who is the Executive Director from Murika, Tanzania. Also, Mr. Suleiman Makwita, the Chairperson from Tanzania Youth Vision Association. And our guest, Madam Jovina Nawenzake, who is the Head of Program and Policy from Action Aid Tanzania. So I hope we will learn, and today's session, it will also tell us on what's next about the TMUN 2020. Whereby the coordinator, Mr. Philemon Motomoto, will also take us through and tell us what's next after this, the last session. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Hortensia Nuhu, the Vice Chairperson, National Vice Chairperson of UNA Tanzania, for this, for taking us through the welcoming. And I hope everyone who is here is comfortable and happy to join this session. As I have said, this is the fourth and possibly the last virtual session for Tanzania International Model United Nations. And what we have been doing is to reflect how COVID-19 have been affecting the thematic areas for this year's for the thematic areas that we have chosen for this year's TMUN. I would like now to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Philemon Mweleka, the coordinator of TMUN 2020, and I hope he will have something to tell us as a way forward on what is next after this last virtual session. Mr. Mweleka, please welcome and have the floor. Okay. Anyway, let's proceed. I'm told that the coordinator will speak at the last of the session, at the end of the session, as to provide the way forward. So at this time, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the guest of honor. I mean, our guest for this virtual session, Madam Jovina Nawenzake. Please welcome and have something to these young people that are participating to this virtual session. Warmly welcome, Madam Jovina Nawenzake.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know how many countries are participating in this meeting. It might be good morning or good afternoon to everyone. First, I want to take this opportunity to thank UNA for giving me this honor opportunity to speak to young people across is it a globe or across Africa. Thank you. As you said that going to the topic of youth engagement and civic participation, all of us, we should know that participation is a right, and this has provided a number of charters in the Africa, for example, the African Charter on Human Rights, and even the African Youth Charter also provides the right for youth to participate in various sphere of the society. So this gives us the importance of considering young people or youth to participate in all issues which are concerned with their society, regardless, starting from the level of the village, community, and the nation as all. However, if we start, what was been the impact during this COVID, starting from the broader perspective, we have seen a number of actions which have been limiting the participation, not just the young people, but most of the people. But based on the fact that most of African countries, including Tanzania, for example, youth population is very huge. Means most of the countries are represented, the population representation of young people is higher compared to the other population. So it is very good to start speaking on young people's participation to ensure that really they are participating in the development. But due to the pandemic of COVID, we have seen other issues. Most of the issues are left in hands of the, we can say that authoritarian leaders. We understand that they have put in place some of restriction in terms of access to information, and also the impact of the information. For example, you could have seen most of the COVID response has been government-led or state-led, not the citizen-led. So this approach is leaving out citizens to participate in response. I don't know anyone who can witness where young people have been involved, for example, in response committees from the national level to the local level. This population, it is very high, it is very large, but it always been left out in terms of decision making and also in taking action to bring development of their countries. But also depending on the situation, so-called emergence. Being emergency, I think some of our accountability institutions have not been effective and being involved or considered during the pandemic. For example, if you take in Tanzania, most of emergencies issues have been done by the presidential power and leaving out the oversight boards, for example, the parliament, whether being the funding, allocation of money and whatever, there is nowhere the parliament has been involved. It has been left out in the name of the emergency. But also in the various countries, there have been violation of rights in terms of like police have been themselves judge, jury, and we have witnessed many of people have been violated by police during this COVID. So these actions, you can see they are restricting participation of people and engagement of people, particularly young people. Based on that context and based on that situation, you can see young people have been self-censored themselves because of the high risk associated with the participation. What do I mean here? During this pandemic, there was fear because the government was not telling us what to do and what not to do. But based on the situation and the information we have been receiving, there have been some sort of fear and people have been setting back, not doing something, just fearing that if they engage or participate in some of issues, it could have put them in problems. But also not just fearing, there are some people who have been condemned or been prosecuted because of the information. For example, some of journalists have been impacted due to this information. But also during this pandemic, you can see the vulnerable population have been further marginalized because no one has been advocating for their needs or giving them a platform to have voice, and particularly young people. If we see that, if you see young people, particularly who are in the village, they have been more marginalized. There was no information. And if you look at the organization, even the young people organization themselves, who are self-organized organization, they stopped it to work. The engagement, they stopped it to work due to the restriction of social gathering, social distancing, and the rule of stay at home. It has impact on how people, other issues could have been captured from the community and be aired out by some of platforms.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Jovina na wenzake from Action Aid. She's responsible for issues of policy, and I hope she have elaborated a lot about this topic. So after this opening from our guest, I would now like to move to our first presenter, so that we finish all the presentation and start to, engaging and discussing, so that we can get something which is very tangible and very inclusive. I would like to move to the next to our first speaker, Mr. Suleiman Makwita from Youth of Tanzania Youth Vision Association, and he will be speaking on how COVID-19 have affected the engagement of youth in civic participation, and possibly what can be done to minimize the impact of COVID-19 in engagement of youth in civic participation. Mr. Suleiman Makwita, we would like to have you warmly welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. As I introduced me, my name is Suleiman Abdul Makwita. I'm a chairperson of Tanzania Youth Vision Association. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's a great chance to talk with my fellow young people and discussing this issue of COVID-19 and its effect on civic participation or civic engagement. I think, first of all, we need to understand, well, when we talk about civic engagement, what does it mean? For me, I think civic engagement or civic participation is any individual or a group activity addressing issues of public concern, citizen acting. So it's all about youth participation and raising issues based on our societies or based on our communities. So sometimes when you talk about civic engagement and democracy, so that and democracy, and when you talk about democracy, it's more about youth voice or people's power. So in that, when you talk about the issue of civic engagement, it means that you want to see voice of people or voice of youth, how affected during this period of pandemic of COVID-19. So on this time of COVID-19, in Africa, especially in Africa, all over the world, each country have its own experience. Or, for example, in Tanzania, we didn't experience a total lockdown, but our neighbors like Kenya, Uganda, and in SADC, even South Africa, they experienced almost a total lockdown. So due to this, we can say that the effect of COVID-19 in civic engagement is different compared to these countries. For example, in our country here in Tanzania, TYVA, I see UNA and other youth organizations, they are still raise their voice through different platforms. We use webinars like this, and what we are doing now is part of civic engagement. So we use webinars and other platforms to inform communities on what to do and what we're supposed to do as young people. So for me, I think still there is a chance for young people to participate during this COVID-19 pandemic. But the effect that we have is one of them is a positive effect that now we use more technology on raising our voice and the if one of our public. But also there's a negative effect I see during this COVID-19 on civic engagement, because, for example, Tanzania now we are heading to election. If you're heading to election, this time most of our youth organizations which dealing with the issue of governance or even not governance, expecting to receive a lot of trainings and other opportunities for them to participate in the general election. But what's happening, most of the donor funders countries, donor funding countries, or even some organizations, I mean, is the COVID-19 come with economic effects, which economic effect also economic impact, which affect even our social and the cultural and even civic life. For example, if you expect to receive money from Action Aid and Denmark is affected with the COVID-19, If Denmark is affected with COVID-19, automatically Danida is affected. And if Danida is affected, that means ActionAid will be affected. And if ActionAid will be affected, that is automatically TYVA will be affected, which depend on ActionAid to receive funds. So if you don't get a fund during this time of election, how will you make sure that your fellow youth participating on this time of election? So this is among of the effects of COVID-19 in governance or in civic sphere. Also, you can see that even not all of us young people, we are in civil societies. Some of us are engaging on political parties. So what's happening, even political parties, maybe they will not get money from their friends outside the country to participate well in the election because the economy of the world is shaking due to COVID-19. If the economy of the world is shaking due to COVID-19, that means it will be very hard for them to support us or to support some political parties. COVID-19. So COVID-19 affects the donor funding countries and automatically affect us for civil society and political parties, which maybe depend on the fund from outside our country. But still, there was opportunity for young people to participate and to engage. As I say, now we use more technology, as now we are doing this meeting through webinar, this Zoom platform. It's part of civic engagement and civic participation. But you know, youth are the part of community, are the part of public, and in issues of civic and democracy, sometimes we use direct and indirect participation. So during COVID-19, still our members of parliament and the council represent us on decision-making bodies. So that means we participate in direct also. So that although I know there are some countries, even these political activities were banned by government. So as I said before, we experience different issues from one country to another. But when I talk, we as young people, we get a chance to continue participating on issues of civic during Corona or COVID-19 and even after it by using different platforms. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you, Suleiman Makwita. I've got you well, and thank you for the very, very good presentation. Before leaving from you, I would like to ask a question because you have explained about the issues of limitation from funding from civil societies, parties. Let us speak about young people, especially at this time of COVID-19. Specifically for 2 issues or 3 issues specifically that you think have affected their participation as young people. Let's say as a young person, I'm aspired to be, to participate in civic issues. During this time, how have we been affected? And from that effect, as young people, what can be done so that to make sure that we minimize the impact? Straight to that, Mr. Makwita, can you tell us something?
Sorry, Michaela.
Suleiman Makwita.
Can you come again? Sorry, because network is not good, so I didn't hear well your question.
Sure,
Sorry.
I can pardon. It's fine, I can pardon. I'm saying that thank you for the presentation about how the issue of COVID-19 have affected civic engagement, but you have focused on issues of civil societies and political parties, especially for funding, something like that. Let us talk about this young person who wishes, let's say, to participate in civic issues. For instance, I hope you know that most of countries in Africa this year and the last year and maybe the coming year are in the process of elections and something like that. So let's speak about, let's say, Malawi, Burundi, let's say Tanzania, we are country in the electoral process and other things. So how do you think the young people is directly affected or due to COVID-19 at this time of the pandemic, and possibly how that effect can limit him or her to participate effectively in this in civic engagement. Can you get me that? Suleiman,
yes,
you get
yes,
me?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, yes, I get you. I get you. Yeah. Yes. For a country which have an election in the past maybe 2 weeks, or now it's just maybe 3 days back. For me, I think young people are affected with COVID-19 during election on those countries. Some maybe participate directly on a campaign or in political activities, but the first challenge of COVID-19, and maybe they fear about their transmitted very fast, maybe in a campaigns movement. So, for example, maybe I as Suleiman or you as Marekera, you want to be a member of parliament and you want to go to participate in the campaign, but you say, I can't participate in this campaign because there is a COVID-19 and I think I will be affected with this disease. Or maybe it's not only you, maybe you fear about your supporters. As a politician, you have supporters who will support you, and you know there is a disease out there, and still you want to do a campaign or a mass mobilization of people. So maybe there are some young people who will see this is not good to do election at this time. But as I said before, still there was different of doing civic of participating or doing civic engagement during this pandemic, because there is a lot uses of maybe uses of social media and online platform to do campaign and engagement of people. But as I said also, sometimes we expect to get support. Sometimes if you want to participate, you need maybe to get money from friends outside of the country. And those friends also have experienced the same problem of COVID-19. So I think in economic base, young people, maybe they will not get support from maybe their political parties, because most of African countries depend. So I think this is a lesson also for us to stop depending from outside supporters or donors, but also it's a chance for us to think on how we can do some things on ourselves as young people, how we can do maybe campaign, how we can mobilize people, even if you don't have money or support from outside your country. But also this is a chance to think on alternative ways of, I can say maybe it's a design thinking opportunity, and think on how we can use this kind of environment to come up with a new solution on how we can engage our people if this kind of pandemic come again, because this maybe to be not a last pandemic. Maybe after 10 years will be another pandemic. So if we learn from this, maybe it will be a good way forward for us as young people to think and come up with a different solution which will be used even for future. So when you ask me on the issue of effects of COVID-19 on those elections, I can tell you maybe there are some young people infected with COVID-19 because of mass mobilization. And maybe there are some young people who will not participate on this campaign or election because of fearing to be infected with this COVID-19. But also I can say that there are some young people or political parties or civil society which lack funds because of COVID-19. But also there are some opportunities that we get during that COVID-19. That is positive effects, because the organization we receive money from Global Platform Kenya to do a campaign of COVID-19. Doing this campaign is also part of but also now I expect to do election in different organizations here, and most of them, they insist when we write our proposals, we must make sure that we include issues of COVID-19 to make sure that there is a safe ways of doing this or implementing these projects. So you see, we get opportunity of receiving money to society and to educate them, but also still our donors and supporters insist on good environment and safe environment on how to implement this project. So there is a positive and negative effect, as I said before. So sometimes it's an opportunity, but sometimes it's a challenge, as I said. Marekela?
Thank you very much, Mr. Makwita. I've got you well, and thank you very much for the good, very good presentation. We get back to you after questions of participants. At this time, I would like to have like a breakthrough for some minutes, and then we'll get back. But when we are going to have this breakthrough of a short video of some activity that have been done by TMON in recent years, please feel free to use the chat box to ask you questions or to introduce yourself so that we can know who you are, and then you can get to be connected. I see some people are dropping some questions here. I will be going to read them, but get prepared when we get back, an opportunity for engagement, for participation, and for asking questions, for contribution. Feel free for that. We'll get back. So welcome back to the session, and I hope you had a very good time to see how TMON is combined, and then how young people have been participating to raise their voices on different matters that we have been discussing. I appreciate that we have some nationals from Nigeria, from Zambia, from Uganda, from Kenya. So please feel free to participate and to make sure that we have a very engaging session. Now, we will move to the first poll. I would like you guys to vote for this question. So what you'll do is just click yes or no in the question, and the first poll say that the first question say that COVID-19 has affected the engagement of youth in civic participation. So what we need to do is just to vote Just say yes or say no, so that we see how many people agree to that or don't agree to that. Please vote, and we will have a chance also to see the results of the votes, and then see how do we do. I hope everyone has voted. Has everyone voted for this question? Okay, so this is the result, as you can see in your phone. 87% of us has agreed on to the question that COVID-19 has affected the engagement of youth in civic participation, but 13% of us don't agree to that statement. So I hope in the discussion there will be some clarification on why they agree or why they don't agree. Thank you so much to that for your participation on that. Now I would like to welcome the first round of engagement. So what we're going to do is to raise your hand. There is a feature in your Zoom to raise hand if you want to contribute. But before that, there is a question here from someone. He's saying, how are we prepared to ensure precautions for COVID-19 are taken during political meetings and campaign? Otherwise, we are in trouble. It's my first time to join the meeting. I am Oscar from Tanzania. The question is, how are we going to make sure that there is precautions in the political rallies? I don't know how did Burundi overcame that, because they already passed in the election. But I hope our presenters are going to respond to that. If there is anyone else who have questions, please welcome. Mr. Philemon, I see you. If you want to contribute anything, welcome. Okay, so if anyone has any question to the first presenter, Mr. Makwita, please raise your hand, or then I'll give you a chance to contribute. I don't see someone who is have raised the hand for.
we seem to be having some technical difficulties. If Selemani Makwita, could you please respond to that question? Thank you.
What's the question?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, Selemani, we can hear you.
Okay. As an organization which work with young people or youth, especially or specifically on issues of governance, we prepare ourselves on working during this time of election, general election in our country. But also we have, but as you know, we supported by different partners. Like I see one of our partners here, ActionAid, but also we supported by some US organization, which supported by USAID, maybe ILI, IFES. But all of these organizations, they are not assured that they will support you. They are not assured that they will support us because, you know, you can't do any activity during election if you don't have a NEC permission, or if you don't have a permission, you can do any maybe voters education or civic engagement during the time of election. So, and NEC, we apply for it, but still we didn't get that a permit. NEC still it doesn't give out maybe I can say about a result, who get it and who don't get it. So we are waiting for NEC to give us a permission. If NEC give us a permission, we will start doing our activities. But on the main question, how are we prepare ourselves to work on this time of COVID-19 and make sure that our fellow young people are safe? We have already have different proposal, different projects already written. So in any document, we show that our mechanism of make sure that youth are not affected with COVID-19, but also we come up with alternative ways of make sure that we implement these programs in a very safe way. Because as you know, before we were more using maybe gatherings, we meet with young people in meetings, boardrooms, maybe in the street. But now we use different ways of organizing them. More issues will be online, but if we're supposed to do maybe trainings, we'll use webinars like this, or if we're supposed to be on the field, we'll make sure that all the precaution is followed. Maybe wash our hands, sanitizer, using masks, and other mechanisms.
And maybe Mr. Makwita.
We are not affected as an organization.
Mr. Suleiman Makwita. Okay.
Yes,
According to that, the question was, what are the precautions can be taken, especially during this period of pandemic, when we're going to the political rallies, political meetings? Yeah, straight to that.
Okay, now I understand. Maybe okay, I can say like we're supposed to make sure that as young people, first, if we want to participate in political rallies, make sure that you take all precautions, like having masks, because I don't see any mechanism it can be used to make sure that maybe in political rallies, maybe CCM, they are in Jangwani grounds, or Chadema in Jangwani grounds. How we will make sure that there is no a mass maybe engagement? How we will stop, how we will control a mass engagement of people during political rallies? I think you understand what I mean. But what we are supposed to do is to make sure that people are informed, educated, and if possible, let's do advocacy to these political parties, leaders, and decision makers of these political parties to make sure that they inform and educate their members what to do during political rallies, and if possible, let them use more online platform rather than this physical platform during campaigns and political rallies for this year election.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suleiman Makwita. And now I'm checking the questions and contributions from some people here who have raised their hands. I see Leah Morel. Leah Morel, please come and have the floor. Leah Morel, welcome.
Okay, good afternoon. Hello.
I can get you.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, just
I'd
proceed.
like to
Just
contribute
proceed. I can hear you.
to the. Okay. I'd like to contribute on the topic on effect of COVID-19 on the engagement of youth in civic participation. On my side, I see that COVID-19 rise fear of interact among youth. That is, before COVID-19, youth were participating in different civic activities, and some of youth volunteer to some in different organizations and conduct humanitarian activities. But after COVID-19, some were have counted fear in participating on those activities. And thus, during their participation before COVID-19, some were provided with allowances that help them to push forward their lives and taking care of themselves on some few issues. But after COVID-19, they were all at home, depending on their parents, depending on their guardians, and it's confusing to youth, and it's raised disappointment to the youth, because we know that youth are very sharp and they didn't want to stay in one place, while a government does not allow social interaction. I mean, that big number of people does not allow to gather together and do activities for a long period of time. For example, before COVID-19, you might find youth maybe go to the school or to the community, help people maybe on issues of water and building some toilets. For example, I saw one NGO rally a few months back. They were in Morogoro contributing on the schools, on community, and youth were provided with something. But now it is quite different. So this COVID-19 brought fear to interact, and that fear to interact led to some dependence on youth. For example, also, COVID-19 led a fear of participating in different activities in a community. For example, in my area where I live, there was a girl who worked in a salon, but after COVID-19, parents does not allow her to go to her work station because they fear should counter coronaviruses, and that coronaviruses will affect her or the family maybe. So at this point, what are we going to do, youth? We need to come up, as Mr. Makweta, if I'm not mistaken, and Ms. Jovina say, we need to come up with a strategy on how are we going to work on our own self and live the same kind of life. It will not be 100% as before COVID-19. That will reduce a number of youth, a number of dependents, and will keep living a life where we save the community and live in a comfortable way on our own self. If you see, most of people, especially in Tanzania, because of low access of information, youth encounter with a thing called aversion behavior. Aversion behavior is action taken by people to avoid catching viruses. So people imagine that in every place there was a viruses. Yes, it is good to worry. It is fine to worry so as to be safe. Then we are in a worry situation. Then what are we going to do? As we see questions, people are asking, okay, you know, what are we going to do during election, and so many things people asking here. On my side, I would like to advise youth, do not fear, but take a precaution. Put yourselves in a position that you want to win, you want to be in, while you are taking precautions on your own selves, so as we are going to reach the point where we want to reach. Last contribution is about youth on rural areas, on urban, I mean people, watu wa vijijini, vijana wa vijijini. I would like to think on a possible way to reach them. It's fine now, we are in town, we have access to internet, we have access to webinar, we're using Zoom, we're getting information, and we forget about a large number of youth in the villages. They have the right to know what is going on. They have the right to contribute on what they think about on how we are going to run our lives during this COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much. I'd like to stand here for now.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to well. Going to other contributors, participants that have raised their hands. I would like to welcome Mr. Ramadhani Abdallah. Mr. Ramadhani Abdallah, please have a floor. Please just use 1 minute and be brief to your contribution. Mr. Ramadan, do you get me? Mr. Ramadhani Abdallah, do you get me? Okay. Ramadan Abdallah, please unmute and please have a floor. We'd like to hear from you, your contribution and your insight on that. Welcome. Ramadan Abdallah, you are on. Okay, maybe he's having some problems, but I would like now to welcome Zabib Hadith. Zabib Hadith. I don't know if I pronounced it well, but welcome for your contribution. Can you get me, Zabib? I think she has not turned on the audio. Okay. Zabib, can you get me? I can see her, but she has not turned on the video. Okay, so we can just proceed. Anyone else who want to contribute, please raise up your hand. But I'd like to read the insight from someone here. He's saying that she's saying that as an organization who works on issues related to youth, how have you planned to help the youth on the effect of COVID-19 in civic participation online? Meaning, do you prepare some platforms where the youth all over Africa connects virtually or online and be an activist of civic community? Zabib Hadith, thank you for submitting your Thank you for submitting your contribution through text. Also, there is some insight here from our first from our guest, Ms. Jovina, saying that we need to see youth participation and engagement is a very broader perspective. Election campaign is not within our power, and it involves a number of stakeholders, especially political parties. Therefore, we should consider a strategy that will inform and guide the whole process to ensure the success. Another thing also, another contribution also is saying absolutely considering of strategies providing information and guidance on precautions and safety of to ensure safety in the electoral process. My question is to young people in this call: does civic engagement matter? I think this is a very, very interesting question from Ms. Jovina Nawenzake. She's asking if civic participation matter. And then I would like that to be one to be among the calls so that we can get here, we can get to hear the insights from all participants. Thank you very much for the contributions and comments in the chat box. I would like to hear from another participant who is ready to contribute. Zabib Bakari, warmly welcome. Zabib Bakari, warmly welcome. I can see you have raised the hand. Zabib, can you get me? Please unmute. Okay, so while okay.
Hello.
Sure, welcome.
Okay, thank you for that chance. Do you get me? Hello.
Yes, I can get you. I can get you. Proceed.
Okay, thank you for this chance. I would like to thank the facilitator. I'm very interested with this topic because the topic was on the current issue. My contribution towards the topic, towards the effect of COVID-19 towards the youth engaged in civil activity. One of the challenges I saw that is it's affecting large number of people, of youth, when we start from socially, economically, as well as politically. When I talk about politically, I talk from the participation of the youth toward the political issues. When we start from socially, first of all, youth are being affected through social interaction with others. As we see that through the lockdown has been introduced by the government by the government leaders. Basically, many of youth are being affected. So how we can measure it socially? Because we in Tanzania, let's take example in Tanzania. In Tanzania, a lot of business of youth have been conducted socially. So when we lock up people to interact, it means that these people who they conduct their business through interacting with people from different areas. Take an example from Kariakoo. During the lockdown, the social activity being done at that area was being affected. But when I talk about economically, many of youth, as we've seen at that current situation, they drop from the economic income. That's because of that. Now I think that it's this problem affecting almost the all worlds economically. My opinion was focusing on financial economically of youth as a topic. as a topic based. We've seen that the economical of many people they dropped. That's because of the lockdown have been focused. So what youth are supposed to do in order to overcome from that problem? One of my contribution is that youth are supposed to wake up, to open up our mind, that to return from the previous situation. That because a lot of youth through the lockdown, they refuse to continue with their activities. They think that they lost it and everything. So the COVID-19 is a problem like other problems. So they can take it as a challenge and to learn to live with that problem. But also in our participation during political issues is most important, because our country was mostly focused on political. So in the place whereby youth they can take an advantage, or they can take a chance to make decisions, contribute on different activities, is through engaging on the political issues. So I advise the youth to don't refuse to engage in political activity, like we are going into election. So I would emphasize that youth to come up to come up from the election and to raise up their voice, so as to take an advantage, to raise from those mistakes are being done from towards that problem, so they can take this as an advantage and to request from those posts of election, so as to fit it and to come up with a better solution of that. I think that you understand. Normally my language was not competent as a
No worries. I get you well, Mr. Zuberi Bakari, and thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to give the chance to Mr. Kibona. Mr. Kibona, please welcome and have a contribution, and I hope you respond to the question of Madam Jovina Nawenzake, asking is civic participation matter? Please welcome Mr. Kibona.
Hello, thank you. I am Miss.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Okay, no worries. So I think on the part of civic engagement is that most of the youths.
Sorry to cut you. Can you please tell us where do you come from and where you, so that we get to know each other?
Okay,
then you can proceed. Yeah.
So my name is Tusaligwe Kibona. I am a member of the National Youth Engagement Network in Tanzania, and I come from Jamii Media Company. So I have been a volunteer before, and I still volunteer in different activities in my community. So according to the question, I think that civic engagement matters to the youth, because most of the issues or problems facing our community or society, especially in Tanzania, are usually addressed by youths. Like in case of education, women empowerment, most of the issues facing our country, they are usually addressed by youths. So far during this Corona period, there have been less engagement from the youths, and we can see even through social media, and mostly through social media, people trying to engage through social media, and we can see that there are issues facing our communities. And at some point, we as the youth, it's hard for us to address the issue physically because of this pandemic, because there's rape cases, there are people who cannot prevent themselves from the COVID-19 thing. But as much as we try and address the issues through social media, it's not the same as how we would have engaged ourselves in those issues in person as we as youths in our country. So I think the most, why does civic engagement matter? Okay, it matters because for youths, we are able to address the issues and try to solve the issues facing our society. So I think that's like the most important thing in our country. Youths are the people who try as much as possible to get involved in the issues facing their societies. So far during this Corona period, our society has been going through different issues, and the youths have not been 100% in them because of that Corona. Yeah, I think that's my point. I hope everyone got my point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the good contribution, and I hope more young people have an insight to that. I'd like to read someone here, contribution. He's saying civic engagement matters. First, it builds youth in self-ability to work independently, and groups that in future there will be a dependency. Also, it shows out how youth are capable of doing different activities in areas of expertise. I think we need to vote for that. And currently, for this time, we're going to, for the second poll, please participate in that poll. I'd like to get your votes on that. And our second question is there is a need for any rapid intervention to address the impact of COVID-19 on youth engagement in civic participation? Do you think, due to the effects that we are discussing, issues of economy, issues of how the situation has been, do you think there is a need for any rapid intervention to that, so that to reduce the impact to young people? Please vote to that question. Please vote. The question of Juliana and Zach will be in the our last poll. We're going to hear on how young people will think if the issue of civic participation matter, and possibly when they come to respond, they'll tell us why maybe young people have been less participating in this issue. And here is the result. 91% of us are saying that there is a need for a rapid intervention, so to reduce the impact of COVID-19 in engagement of youth in civic participation. Thank you for voting, and only 9% of us saying they're saying there is no need for any intervention to that. Now we're going to a very, very short cheerful break, and then when we come back, we're going to get the response from our speakers in different issues that have been raised in this discussion, and I hope we're going to have very, very good feedback from them. If you have any question, please don't forget to drop it in the chat box. Just drop your question, just drop your comment. I would like to hear from you. Thank you for people who have joined from different countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda. Thank you very much. We'll get back.
Tanzania International Model United Nations, the simulation of United Nations General Assembly, which is organized annually in Tanzania by Youth of United Nations Association. The simulation gives young people all over the world an opportunity to meet and discuss the world pressing issues. At the same time, coming with resolutions from the discussion debates, which are usually governed by United Nations General Assembly rules and procedures.
Tanzanias internationales moeten von den Vereinten Nationen mit Nativa diskutiert erstens ein Paradigma jüdischer Ideologie, angepasst zweitens ziviles Engagement für Jugendliche.
مسؤوليات الشباب في تنظيم الأسرة بدون فواحش مع رفاء الشباب إلى أهداف العمل مثمر حاصوة. علي هذه ممتاز هؤلاء إلى أهداف العالمية ثالث خامس ثامن 31 و61.
Jimion ti aimun zai Arusha. Fejum dari newa jukshi. Arusha haushen fejum dari newa. Yino hendo goji. Waidia hui zaishi jukshi.
¿Conoces tu papel como joven en la creación del futuro de tus sueños? Bueno, este será el tema de nuestra conferencia este año. Papel juvenil en la creación del futuro que queremos.
Ces tunistes feront des points de message fantastiques. Ces tunistes bien de excuses pensent bien. Le voyer está payable. Les actes partir aussi.
TI Moon is a great platform for you to meet new people and make new friends.
Obnovitie, zakrovitie, soyupazitiu, segodna, teresnash, sociali, media platformi, Instagram, Savaka Tanzania Moon, Twitter, Savaka Moon Tanzania, Uvidi Seva Arusha, Dobro Fajarabat.
Ninakukaribisha sana kushiriki TI Moon 2020 ili kupata uzoefu wa kimataifa katika masuala mbalimbali kama vile utatuzi wa migogoro, kuwasilisha maslahi ya nchi nyingine na kujifunza fursa mbalimbali. Ni jukwaa la kipekee la kukuza ushirikiano, kupata marafiki wapya na kubwa zaidi, kufurahi. Karibu TI Moon 2020.
Okay, thank you very much. We're getting back now to the discussion, and I'd like to go through some of the contributions of people in the chat box. From Leah, from to Saligwe Kibona, to everyone saying I can try to answer the question of whether civic engagement matters. I think she have already responded. Zabib Hadith from Ethiopia. Sorry, dear host, can you unmute me so that I will ask my question? Okay, so I think we can provide this opportunity, golden opportunity to the Zabib Hadith from Ethiopia, so that she can contribute. Can you please have a floor and say something? Zabib, we can get you. Well, warmly welcome and ask your question. This is a golden chance.
Okay.
I can get you, Zabib, please welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. So, okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. And my question is, as an organization who is helping the users in Africa, this question goes to maybe the UNA or other organizations who are engaged on this issues in helping the youth and during the pandemic and after the pandemic. So my question is, did you have any plans to help the users to engage on the civic participation online, or what have you prepared or planned to give us a platform that we can connect with each other all over Africa, so that the users can also participate and do something? So this is my question, and anyone can answer it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the good question, and we'll get back to you. I think we'll respond. Someone else from UNA Tanzania will respond that. And I see there is some two hands here risen. Miss from Oscar Capera, please, can you have a floor? I'm taking this last question, and then we are going to from the responses from our presenters. Oscar Capella, please have a floor. Oscar, please, can you unmute? Oscar, okay, maybe he's not comfortable maybe. I hope, I think the connection is a problem, but let us proceed. Let us proceed. Thank you for the contributions in the chat box. I have seen them, and I hope that we're going to get a very, very good response from our presenters. Now, I would like to get back to Mr. Suleiman Makwita. Warmly welcome, Mr. Makwita. We have received like 3 to 4 questions. I hope you have something to say on that. Warmly welcome. Makwita, this is your chance as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, my friend Marikela, and thank you for all participants who contributed on this topic. But I think most of the questions are related, although some are different. But let me answer all of the questions general. First of all, I can say that it's civic engagement. It's very important. It's very important for young people to participate on civic issues. When you participate on civic issues, that means now you are a citizen. Because once I met with one of our professors here in Tanzania, and he told me that Makwita, you know, there is 2 kinds of people in the country. We have citizens, and we have it's just a people you use. But not a citizen. But if you are to be a citizen means you know your rights, and you are we say we have rights, and what you should know your rights first, but also your responsibility. Yes, you should know your right and your responsibility as a person. So as a citizens, we're supposed to know our rights and our responsibility. And that means we should participate in anything that concerning our society and our public. So, and civic participation is very broad. It's very broad. You can participate in a political aspect. You can participate in a social aspect. You can participate in economic aspects. Because that's why I say civic participation involves issues of democracy. And democracy have all that aspects: political aspects, economic aspects, and the social aspects. And sometimes we participate indirectly or directly. We participate indirectly when we are represented. Somebody represents us, maybe in the parliament, or maybe as a civil society organization represent us, or maybe in the council when we elect councillors in our local governments. Also, it's part of participation. If you elect someone, you participate indirectly. But in this time of COVID-19, yes, we face some challenges of participating but it's not a big challenge, because there is a challenge of participating physical, but still there is opportunity of participating online or in different ways, which is not, that's not physical. But also when it comes, when we come specific, maybe in our country, sorry for those who are not Tanzanians, we here in Tanzania, we are heading to election in October. So soon the movement will start, political rallies will start. So as I said, there is a social aspect, economic aspect. So when we talk on election, we just speak in one aspect of civic engagement, which is political aspect of civic engagement. So people, they have a right to participate on that side, on that aspect. I think we need to take a precaution, because the disease, we as a country, we manage to control the disease, but it doesn't mean that the disease is not here anymore. So we need to take a precautions as young people and as youth leaders, because we are young youth leaders. We lead different organizations. Some of you, I know you are in political parties. So we need to still educate our fellow young people and to tell them to don't fear to participate. If they want to be voted, and to be voted, because sometimes we young people, we think to participate is to go and voting for someone in that political aspect. But what I say, we need to vote and to be voted. So we must participate. And as our president in Tanzania tell us, we should not fear. We should not fear. So we should not fear and participate in every activity on the coming general election in our country. So as young people, we should make sure that we integrate COVID-19 strategies in our programs. I know we have programs. I know UNA will have a program for next election. Maybe Murika, they will have a program. As TYVA we have, and any other youth organization. We should have a program to make sure that we integrate issues of COVID-19 in our program to make sure that we are safe and our fellow young people are safe. Tanzania is safe, East Africa is safe, and Africa in general is safe. Yeah. So I think, as I said before, participation in civic issues is assured with our constitutions. So it's our right, it's our responsibility to make sure that we participate in any issues concerning public or concerning our community. But the most important thing I want to tell you guys, issues of civic participation, we can't label issues of political participation with partisan. Civic participation, it's more about civic citizenship. So everyone can participate. It's not issues of partisans. It's not issues that you're coming from party A or coming from party B. But as a citizen, you have a right to participate on issues, on the matters that concerning you or concerning our public or our community in general. So maybe I can remind you one thing. When you, I think you remember the definition of democracy, and as I said, democracy, you can't separate democracy and the civic participation. Civic participation have three aspects, and democracy have three aspects: social, political, and economical. That's why Lincoln said democracy is government of people, by the people, for the people. Means people, we the people, we must participate. And as young people, we are the one who care the future of our nations, of our region, and even the continent and the world. We should participate in anything concerning us or concerning our lives. Thank you. Obrigado. Gracias, amigos.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Mr. Suleiman Makwita, for the contribution. And now I would like to thank you all for participating in this session and for asking questions, for contributions, and I hope we have got a lot of from this discussion. What I can just simply summarize that we all agree that there has been some impact of COVID-19 for youth engagement in civic participation, but that is not the end. And we should all continue to make sure that we participate in civic matters, because we are concerned with that and we are part of that, and any decision happening in the field affects young people to the very, very large extent. Thank you very much for raising questions, and I hope this discussion have also created a very good understanding to others who were not aware of the topic. Because of time, I would like to provide a very special chance to Jovina Nawenzake if she have anything to tell us before inviting Mr. Philemon Umuleka, our coordinator for this year's Tanzania International United Nations, for closing this session. Jovina Nawenzake, if you have anything to tell young people, thank you for your participation in this session, and I hope young people have got a lot from you today. Can you please say something before we close the session?
Yes,
Jovina, can you get me? Sure, welcome.
Unmuting me, please.
You are unmuted. You are unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I was able to hear different views and different perspectives on the civic participation. But for me, what I would wanted to conclude, we still needed to how can I say, to have further discussion to understand the concept of civic participation, civic engagement, I'm not hearing much coming from about young people to participate in terms of raising their voice and holding the state accountable, which is very important when we talk about civic engagement. Civic engagement is not just to participate, to be present, but to question, to engage the state and bring changes where possible, be part of the change or whatever decision which is made at the all level, including the policy level. So I think that is something we have to take into account as young people. Our engagement should also consider how are we involving and engaging the government or the state, hold them accountable to respond to youth issues and youth priority and youth concerns. That is very important development. So that is something I think I will need to emphasize more while we are discussing the civic engagement or civic participation. How are we building capacity of young people to understand their rights, to engage and demand accountability? Another thing which I will emphasize from those who are speaking out in perspective of organization, we should understand that when we talk about youth are so many, and it is a diverse kind of group of people. So we should be inclusive while we are presenting young people concern, considering others, not just for us, for example, who are based in urban. How are we considering the issues which are affecting those who are living in rural areas? We should be inclusive to make sure that really when we are talking about young people, we are talking about the issues of young people, for example, of Tanzania, both from rural and urban areas. And when we talk about participation methodologies, for example, Makwita have been emphasizing on online. Is that method accessible to all young people within our country? Don't we have any problem? What are we supposed to do to make sure that this technology is increasing and is growing and reaching everybody, to make sure that really it fits to all population? And this, I think it's going to take long. How are we going to make sure that those who are not accessing, who are not accessing the advanced technology as we do, are not left out? That is my challenge. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I hoping that we will continue, and I will continue to join you young people, because not young people, but once I was a young person, and also I'm a mother of young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these closing words, and it's very, very appreciated. Now, I would like to thank you all participants, and I will leave this opportunity to the coordinator of Tanzania International United Nations for 2020, Mr. Philemon Mweleka, for a closing remark. Warmly welcome, Mr. Philemon.
Oh, Mr. Malekela, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you a lot, Mr. Joseph Brighton Malekela, for the amazing and wonderful moderation. Thanks so much. But also our guest speaker, Madam Jovina na wenzake, we appreciate for your time. You build us a lot, and we talk your concern about how we as youth or we as organization, we can take responsibility concerning those youth who are living in rural areas, especially in vulnerable places. How can we make them inclusive in making decisions, or how to make them involved in this civic participation? I think after these discussions or after this session, I think we can say together, we Action Aid, TYVA and Molika, on how we can reach them, because of course we are from urban areas. We have a lot of resources as this webinar, Zoom meeting, a lot, but of course we are lack some materials from youth who are living in rural areas. So we take that concern and we are going to work on it as soon as possible. Thank you a lot, Madam Jovina, but also Mr. Makwita. Thanks a lot, brother, for your time. Thanks for your amazing concerns about how can we youth involve in decision makings, in dialogues, and take our position in voting or to be voting. And if we are feeling ourselves we are passionate about leadership, how can we engage in taking a government position? A lot we talk, and I think youth have taken it and they are going to take it in actions. But also our delegates and participants from all over the world, thank you a lot. Thanks for your time. I think we get a lot from our speakers. What I can say, this is our fourth sessions for Team Universal session, because as we know that we postponed that Tanzania International Model United Nations due to the rise of pandemic. So that's why we decided to come with these sessions. So after this session, we'll have a clear resolution on how we are going to present our thematic areas to the coming International Model United Nations, which we expected to be held around around September, because we got participants from universities, and as we know that most of universities are opening, and also participants from different countries, also they are still in lockdowns. So we are waiting until the situation calm down. So we hope that when we get together physically, see each other, Madam Jovina speak in front of us, or Mr. Makwita speak in front of us, we'll have a wonderful session, wonderful dialogues, and come up with a great resolution. Again, thanks for your time. We enjoy a lot. We'll be back to you for the new dates of Tanzania International Model United Nations. Lastly, my organizing committee, communications, technical department, substantive, logistics, thanks a lot for your time. Without you, I cannot make it. Thank you a lot, and wish you just wishing a wonderful weekend. Thank you a lot. Mr. Malekela, you can close.
Thank you very much. And I think this is the end of this session. We can proceed to engage in social medias and just such as Chairman Tanzania International Model United Nations in Facebook and Twitter and in Instagram. We use at Moon Tanzania on Twitter and Tanzania Moon on Instagram. Just follow us and keep engaging. Thank you so much for joining, and we can just feel free to say bye-bye for all, and then the mic, I think they'll be open for all to say bye-bye and say hi. Thank you for joining the session today. Goodbye.